if you're originating in 2025, then what you better do is raise your game. The days of people throwing deals at you are over.
If you don't have the ability to change in any business right now, you probably shouldn't be in the business you're in.
People have always had to adapt. How long have you been adapting, Jeff?
36 years, 37 years.
I'm on this podcast with my man. That's awesome. Yeah.
All right, guys. Welcome to another edition of Laugh Underneath the Podcast. And we're getting ready for the end of season 6, believe it or not. And we are trying out this new format that I'm still trying to get comfortable in. It's killing me. It's killing me, guys. I got to be honest with you. This is change is difficult, but this is what we're going to try to do. So I want to give you guys something that's been bothering me. And I normally don't do this on this show, but we're not a political show, okay? So this is first and foremost, but freedom of the press and freedom of the speech is really important for a podcaster. And yesterday on October 15th, about 50 journalists walked out of the Pentagon because they were being told that they had to be reviewed on their transcripts before they could go to press. And I got to admit to you guys, I'm really concerned about this. I mean, and these were not just liberal news media. These were Fox, Newsmax. Everybody's protesting that they don't want Secretary Pete Hegseth to review what they're going to print in their newspapers. And I've been really concerned about this. And I just, I know that this is a mortgage show, but this is also a podcast where we have freedom of the speech and we have the freedom of the press behind us to say whatever we want to say and do whatever we want to do. And when we start limiting the press on what we can report and can report, I really feel that we're standing at a very slippery slope. And it's really, really just, this is something I've been talking about since September personally. I did a thing on my Facebook about it. And literally, guys, I got to tell you this thing. I had a candidate of a $300 million region told my recruiter, do not connect me with Fobby because he doesn't believe in the same values I do, which means that they're okay giving up their First Amendment rights, which I'm not. I want my freedom to be able to say what I want in this country that I love. But right now, I think this Pentagon ruling that they're trying to enforce is really, it's just punitive, and we're going to be limited on the kind of stuff we're going to be getting. That's enough. I got that off my chest. I did 2 minutes like I promised JP I would. I don't think he was expecting this. I think he was expecting some other lighthearted shit from me this morning like I normally do. But guys, I got to tell you, democracies are not lost in one day or one night. They're slowly slipped away from other countries. And we need to be very proactive. And, speaking of being proactive, I am going to call up my good friend, James Kleiman, the Mortgage Scoop. So, JP, what do we have to introduce James today? Jay, I think that was a more appropriate introduction for you, right? Breaking news.
It was good. I like that. It was less upsetting than the last one.
James, what do you think about this Pentagon thing? Have you heard about this?
Yeah, I read it this morning. Troubling, certainly, regardless of, I think, one's political.
Yeah, it's not none of a political affiliation at all. No.
No, I don't think of it as a political issue insofar as whether you're right or left or find yourself somewhere in the middle. I think when you're telling people that what they're saying has to be approved by the government.
Yeah, well, I went back to 1950s Pakistan when my dad was a journalist.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he had to get every press clippings approved. Like they would literally say, you can't say this, take this out. And the military guy would literally sit in the radio station on what they could and couldn't talk about. And so maybe that's where the root of my angst is on this one.
Yeah, no, I don't like it. I find it upsetting, and I'm hopeful that they'll find a better way to do this.
Yeah. Well, you and I will go underground, and we'll continue giving the mortgage scoop the way it should be given.
Yeah, I mean, the whole value proposition behind what I do is that there is no power that has the ability to stop what I'm writing, and that gives people the confidence that I'm speaking the truth, that I'm not going to kowtow to powerful voices or interests, and that it's not some filtered message from the powers that be.
Yeah,
I think that's really important for just transparency.
I applaud you turning all that money down from advertisers.
Yeah, I've turned down quite a bit of money
Yeah.
from advertisers in just the last couple months because I feel that even if I am able to remain relatively objective, the perception that I wouldn't be is enough for me to say this is not the kind of path that I want to take.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
listen, I want to talk to you about this lawsuit that you and I were talking about. Loan Depot against, I think, is WCL. Is that who it is?
Colloquially known as WestCap, West
Yeah.
Capital Lending. They're based out of Orange County in Loan Depot's backyard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they used to work at their call center, is what I found out this morning.
Not everyone. So yeah, WestCap is a broker shop. They are Rocket Pro's biggest mortgage broker partner. They're probably on track to do, I don't know, $6+ billion this year. They're pretty big, and they have a really interesting model that is more common in California and a couple of different states, and that they're 1099ing their LOs. And the Loan Depot lawsuit is, I think, pretty routine in some respects. Certainly, there are a lot of companies that are accused of poaching other sales forces, and whether they're asking them to bring documents or the people are doing it on their own.
I was charged with RICO back in 2015 by a previous mortgage lender.
There you go.
So
But
James Gotti ain't got nothing on me.
Yeah. And so, we've seen so many cases in which a lender says, oh, you took a client lists or you took data that was proprietary, you're not allowed to take. That's normal. I don't think that's especially interesting. What is interesting about this, however, is that it is the first time that I have seen a lawsuit that explicitly says some of these hyper-growth mortgage broker shops that are increasing volume by 200, 300, 400%, year over year, that are recruiting, 500 to 1,000 LOs every year. They're growing like gangbusters, and most of the market is growing at a couple percentage points or falling behind where they were the prior year.
Mm-hmm.
How are these broker shops doing it? And for the first time, Loan Depot is saying it's not because they're better at producing a mortgage. It's because they're breaking the law. It's because they're 1099ing their employees when they're not supposed to, when it doesn't comply with either state, California in this case, regulation, or federally. There's a whole other can of worms when you consider the potential tax advantages and whether they're qualifying as an independent contractor.
Well, I mean, yeah, it comes down to how many basis points you could put in your margin, all that kind of stuff starts. I mean,
Right.
That's where it really starts to show whether you're being competitive or not competitive. And look, I mean, we deal with this all the time where I've been told multiple times, not in California, but in the Northeast and Southeast, where, hey, I'm on a 1099 and can you keep me on a 1099 if I join AnyMac? And I'm like, can't do that. It's like, it's not going to happen.
I don't think the law is 100% settled on this, or if it is, it does depend on the state. It depends on a myriad of factors, how the brokerage is set up.
Mm-hmm.
But the way one person articulated it to me, if CCM, AnyMac, all of these other big brokerages that are obsessed with growth themselves are saying, we're not going to do this. This is from a compliance standpoint way too risky. Why then would it be okay for other companies to do this? That's the argument that has been articulated to me.
Listen, I think it's interesting, but once again, I think this is where most laws are always tested in court.
Yeah.
And then whatever the results are, then we start to abide by them. You know what I mean? And look, if the court comes back and says 1099s are legal, I think that everybody gets put on the same playing field now. Now it's up to the companies to decide if they want to do this or not.
Yeah. And I think that makes everything a lot more interesting, right?
Yeah.
And I think that also permits a lot more creative strategies and efficiencies that you could put to work. I don't, in and of itself, think that a 1099 model is necessarily, some awful
No,
thing.
it has a lot of advantages.
Exactly.
Especially because the loan officers are now licensed. Prior to 2010, we had to have W-2s because we were not licensed loan officers.
Yes.
Post 2010, you're individually licensed. So as a real estate agent, you're a life insurance agent, why can't you be 1099?
But here's where it gets a little bit more dicey and where I have greater concerns. The allegations laid out in the Loan Depot lawsuit against WestCap are such that essentially Loan Depot is saying that WestCap LOs are getting paid on the revenue on the deal, on the loan.
Oh,
They're not getting, they're not having a set comp plan where you make 50 basis points on every refi, but anything equity kill is 125 bips or whatever. Having a set established comp plan that is contractually set is one thing, but when you're getting paid, let's say 2 points on this deal, depending on how much the deal yielded, right? We're talking about a yield spread premium. I think you start getting into very dicey territory.
Yeah. Look, I mean, once again, I think a lot of lenders, not just brokers, are always testing compensation laws.
Sure.
I know a lender in Georgia that is their loan officers. If they want a concession, they get paid on the percentage of the loan amount. So a $200,000 loan amount, if they want a concession, they'll get paid on 75% of it.
I'm not a lawyer, so
yeah, I know. It's like
when I talk to the lawyers who cover this stuff, they say that sounds like a RESPA 8B problem.
No, I talked to an attorney about that. They're like, no, you can't. The spirit of Dodd-Frank doesn't allow that. So it's right. Once again, I think these things get settled in court, and then the rest of the industry follows suit. But I read your article on it. I thought it was pretty timely. I always like this. I think this is a topic that needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
And it needs to go to court to figure out what the right way to go about it, because it's got to make a level playing field for all of us.
I think pretty much everyone agrees that the LO comp rules are outdated and are very inflexible, and there should be some flexibility on minimum comp levels in some cases, right? Like,
I want to go back to my old days in '94 when I could make 7 5/8 on each file. Can I do that and get 60% of that?
Yeah, I mean that's a very different market than what we have today, right? But the point being, I don't think the current rules serve people very effectively. But if you have we're going to take this very liberal interpretation of a controversial law, and we're going to put it toward the extreme and just dare, companies to sue us or regulators to take action, then you start to step in some pretty treacherous ground. And that's what Loan Depot is alleging happened here with WestCap. And I spoke to people in LA and other places who say, we can't compete with a broker shop that says you're going to cut your expenses by 40%, 50% in some cases, and you can get paid whatever you want on the loan if you can sell the loan. And if you can't, then you get, whatever it ends up being. So they're losing hundreds of recruits. I
mean, look, it's the industry is going to form itself the way it's going to form itself, but we need guidance, and so unfortunately, it's going to go to court, and it's going to have attorneys are the ones who always make the money, and then the rest of us follow suit. So, all right, James. Well, look, keep us abreast of this. This is a moving moving target. I've been listening to Moving Pictures by Rush, by the way. This is a moving target, so we'll keep an eye on this topic, because this is one that I want to be. I think this is a huge one. So when I saw it, I was like, I get James back on here because we got to talk about this real quick. So, all right, brother, I appreciate your 10 minutes, man. All right, thank you. Get back to our show here. Miss Aleyna Groves is here from San Diego, California. Aleyna, how are you?
There we go. I had to unmute my mic. I'm doing great, thank you. I love listening in to your conversation with James. That was so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is, look, like I told you before the show started, this is a very unscripted show, right? We kind of go with whatever comes naturally, but I mean, James is out there covering the news in a really, really precise manner. Mm-hmm. And I feel very blessed that we got him on the show like he does every week when he comes on here, does his little 10 minutes of news for us. Because we get some pretty good stuff going like this, and obviously, look, it makes for a great conversation with you, right? Because I mean, you're in California, you're in the lovely San Diego, by the way. That's one of my favorite cities. You know that, right?
I know that. I mean, I think it's everyone's favorite city. It is 75 and blue, clear skies. But we had like a weird thunderstorm literally 2 days ago where it was flooded like this much. I went to Costco and I could barely get out of my car without my whole ankle.
That's not cool.
Very weird, but now we're back. Clear skies and sunny.
All right, so look, let's talk about Aleyna Groves, okay? Because you are I think you're the COO of Groves Capital. Is that the right title that I got for you?
That
right?
is.
So you're that, right? And it's you and your husband, Chris, right? Because I think I see him in the back, or I hope that's your husband. I don't know if that is or not, but
Yep. That's my husband. In the back, we have our wonderful team here. I sit in the pit with everyone. That's Jalen. That's Chance.
Nice.
Anyone
Hey,
who works
guys.
at Capital, they know them. They're with them every single day, and
Nice.
with me. So this is where the magic happens.
And I know that you are also you're building your own technology, Groves IQ, right?
Yeah,
Which,
I have.
yeah, which is pretty promising from what I've read about it and what I've seen on it, right?
Thank you.
Let's talk about you've been in the business about 18 years.
A little bit longer, a little over 20 years. Yeah.
20 years, okay. Well, you look very young for being in the business for most of us look like this after a couple of years. I've only been in the business for 4 years, so
Thank you. I have 40 around the corner. I can't believe it already. Like, what the heck? But I'm excited for this new decade. It's going to be awesome.
Time is just a number. It's just a number.
Yep.
No big deal.
Yep.
Go back to when you first got in the business. I mean, 20 years ago was 05, right? 04, 05, somewhere in that ballpark, right? We were going crazy back in those days.
Oh, it was. I mean, you remember, you just needed a heartbeat to get a loan, right? You didn't need much besides that. And people were selling negative AM loans, and, purchases were going for 100,000 above list. Like, it was out of control.
Right.
And definitely I was in that time. I actually bought a property when I was 18 years old because you could, right? You could. I had a partner, a real estate agent, and we remodeled the property, and then we sold it, made a profit. And I was like, I'm going to do this again. Little did I know the market was going to in that moment. I learned my lesson on that one. Had to go through a big short sale. But I wasn't alone in that. And what that really taught me is that our industry is cyclical. There's ups and there's downs, but there's always an opportunity. So since then, it's been really about pivoting, about being able to move into the right type of market that we're in, sell the right loan product. So it's been quite the journey over these last 20 years. Yeah. I can go into a lot more detail too if you want, but
I think just getting a little bit background on where you started from, I think is helpful. But I think the other part that I would like to know is the idea for Groves Capital. Like, most people are in the business, right? And they don't think about, hey, I need to open up my own company.
Yep.
Right? There's like 98% of people like that in the world, in our industry, right?
Yeah,
and then there's 2% that say, I need to do X, Y, Z. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And there's like 0.5% idiots that's like, I want to create a podcast. But that's a different subject.
Yeah.
Right? Where was that moment? Where was that? I mean, where was that? Where you said, we need to create our own mortgage shop?
Oh, well, it really came from a necessity of creating a platform that I just couldn't find out there. So, I started off in originations. I was also in underwriting. So initially started with Chase Bank, for example. So I spent my first 10 years at big retail banks, really understanding the process, working all the way from processing to underwriting to originating. And then from there, I was like, you know what? I want to be my own broker. So then I got my broker's license. I then worked at Movement Mortgage for a little bit. I was in the Keller Williams Del Mar office. So I was one of the main 2 mortgage brokers in the office. And so I'd hold, educational courses. There was like 500-600 agents there. So I was their, go-to girl there for mortgage. And, as I, jumped around to different places from banks and then to broker shops, that's really kind of the thing that a lot of people do in the wholesale industry is they jump around. You see a lot of people jump around. Why do they jump? It's because they don't have either the tools, the support, the education, the simplicity at whatever shop they're at currently. So they go and find the next best thing and the next best thing. And so my husband and I spent, 10 years of doing that. He was also a real estate broker. And I was a mortgage broker. So we're always a team. We always worked really well together. And of course, we run life together. And now, we're together 15 years. We have 2 beautiful kids.
Nice.
And we still love working together. But it came to the time around 10 years ago where we said, you know what, we're ready to create our own platform. We want to set our own rules. We want to bring in the lenders that we want, the programs that we know our clients need. So that's when we started Groves Capital. And initially it was just for us two. We're like, we just want our freedom. And so we did it for ourselves. And, I created this whole platform and lenders and program and systems of how to submit loans for myself. And then, Chris was like, hey, we should start growing. And I'm like, what do you mean start growing? He's like, let's start recruiting. You say that you like this, that this is what loan officers want. Like, maybe other people like it. And we're like, okay, I guess let's start. So we didn't know what we were doing. We just started calling. I started hitting up all my old friends from the bank. He started talking to people, recruiting on LinkedIn. Before we knew it, within 2 months, we had 50 loan officers. Within 6 months, we had 800 loan officers. It was an exponential growth, and especially more, it took off during COVID when everything shut down and everything had to be virtual. Our model was always a virtual model. We stay in states that are virtual where we do not need a brick and mortar. Okay. So it allowed us to really explode on our growth. We're not just a broker. We're also a non-delegated correspondent. We also have our California Finance Lenders Law license, so we can bring people on under the DFPI or the DRE or BRE. Not sure what they're called anymore nowadays. Yeah. So, that's been a long time, 10 years of that, of pivoting as the market changes. And that's what really, brought me to this next stage with Groves IQ, was to provide another tool to my loan officers. Now, 10 years in, where I think we have a couple hundred, maybe 400 something loan officers that are with Groves, and we're in about 32 states or so. We have a pretty good footprint. And what we've always done is we've always tried to find new opportunities for our broker partners. Hey, we have this new loan program. We're bringing in construction. We're bringing in, developments. We're bringing in all these unique partnerships and banks just to bring more opportunity. And so we were always looking for that, trying to bring something new, education or program wise. And so that's what led me to build Groves IQ, was just looking for something new. I'm like, well, I can't add any more loan programs. What else? I have all the programs now. What else? What value can I provide to my loan officers? And that was really where Groves IQ was born.
Go back to the growth part of Groves Capital for a second. When you're going from that exponential growth, right? Because I think a lot of owners and a lot of leaders don't understand that scaling is a pain in the ass.
Yep.
Is that the right way to say that? I mean, is that a technical term?
It's the only way to say it, yeah.
Right? There's a lot of sleepless nights. There's a lot of painful moments. Like pretty much everything that I've learned on how a process works really well is by not doing it well.
Exactly. That's the only way. You have to make the mistake. You don't know what you don't know, but once you make it, you better remember it so you don't make that mistake again.
Yeah, so like literally, like if something like I remember as a loan officer, even like I would have this checklist, right? And I was given the checklist, whatever, blah blah blah, and then things that I found in there, I would like add little notes.
Yeah.
And so when I opened up my mortgage company, it was the same process. Like I was like, okay, like we're gonna do this, and then whatever doesn't work, we fix it. Then okay, I put too many files on one processor, I got to have another processor. Now I mean, back in those days, you need copying machines.
Yeah.
And so one copy wasn't working, so you had to have 4 copy machines. And I mean, like all the different things you need to have in order to scale properly.
Yep.
Where did you find your coming? I guess you had a little bit of ops in you. Were you able to make that adjustment to scale, to pivot a little bit easier for you than just a salesperson?
I think I've always been very detailed and been able to organize operations. I feel like that's always been a strong point for me. So for me, it felt like, not that I knew what to do, but I felt like I could follow a process and create a process as I went, because you don't know what you don't know if you haven't done it before. And so a lot of times it just takes you just getting in and just starting. And that's really true of anything, whether it's starting a business or starting a new system within your company. You just have to start, just take that first step, and you'll figure out the right pieces along the way. So that was really the way that we built every single process, is really by wearing every hat, which was, like you said, a pain in the ass. And sleepless nights, and I made so many mistakes. But I learned from that, and I went back and I go, oh, hold on, let me go back, let me fix it, and then next time I won't make that mistake.
Yeah, I think people don't understand, or maybe that's the wrong way to put it. I don't think that people really see that you waking up at 2:30 in the morning, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not, I don't know, but I know it, most of us do, right? And also saying, oh my God, that's the mistake.
Yeah.
And actually literally jumping out of bed to go and write it down so you don't forget it.
Yeah. Yep.
And then hoping you could fall asleep before the kids wake up.
Yep. Pretty much every night.
That's what I think people don't see that. Yeah. And that's the heart of the entrepreneur that people don't understand. And that's why it's only 2%.
Yep.
Because how many people really would do all that?
Yeah, it's a hard job, but I think, choose your heart. It's, either one is going to be hard, right? It's going to be hard to wake up early, to make the phone calls, to grow the business. It's going to also be hard if you're sitting there going, well, I don't have money for this, or I don't have time for this, so they're both hard in their own way. I just choose to do the hard pieces that are going to make me more successful.
Yeah. And now you made it a little bit harder. You did. Because you partnered with your spouse.
Yep, a lot of people are like, "How do you do it?"
Right. I mean, like, anytime I see this, because you're not the first person I've met that does. Like, I'm like, so my wife will never watch this podcast. Okay. She ignores it. She ignores like anything that I do, any accolades I guess. She's like, yeah, whatever. Take the garbage out. You know what I mean? Made the cover of Housing Wire. Go take the garbage out. Whatever, right? Who cares? But one year when I had my company, she said, hey, can I be a processor for you? Mm-hmm. This is like 2003 or 2002. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? But here's a CD on how to learn how to type first.
Yeah.
So learn how to type first, then I'll put you into processing. And I knew she would never do it.
Yeah.
But that was my polite way of saying no.
It's definitely unique, right? Not everyone can work with their spouse because for us, like we live together, we work together, we take the kids to school together,
you
work out together. Yeah. His office is right down the hall here. But at the end of the day, he's my best friend, and we both have the common interest in mind that we're both there to make our company successful for us and for our family. Right? Everything at the end of the day is for our family.
Here's the magic question, Aleyna.
Yeah.
All right. I wish I had a drum roll for this. Who usually wins the argument?
I mean, I think you know the answer. Happy wife, happy life. This is a general life statement. Yes. Is
it because the better idea wins, or is it just because Chris just says, "Okay, we'll try it your way"?
No, because it's usually because I'm right. That's No, I mean we're really good about we have our moments just like anyone, right? But we're pretty good, I would say, for the most part, of just understanding when it's time just to back down.
I mean, even like my producer John Perry, he's been my buddy for years, right? Mm-hmm. And we can have knockdown, like blowout fights between him and I. It doesn't happen every day, or like it happens once a year, maybe. The older I get, I think the more it happens.
Yeah.
I take my frustration out on John and more than anybody else.
He's the one that's there to take it. Yeah.
Yeah, John's probably nodding as he's hearing all this right now, right? But like, I could imagine like having to like live with John. Like once the show's over, like I got 23 hours without him.
You know what I think our secret sauce is that we don't step on each other's roles. We have clear defined roles on what we do within the company, and we stay in those lanes. So our lanes don't cross for the most part. So we stay the rulers of our lanes. Okay. But at the same time, we both have very, detailed input on what each other does too. If we see that, hey, I don't like that, I don't like this. So, we come together and we figure it out on those moments. Yeah, sometimes there's points where we totally disagree and we need to like think about it a little bit deeper. And is going to happen in any kind of relationship, business or personal, right? Those are the moments where I feel like are the most important, because you can actually talk through some of those disagreements and come up with something that's for both sides, not just for one.
I think if you were to ask John, he would say that I'm very delicate and very diplomatic.
Those are good qualities.
Which I'm not. I'm like the bull in the china shop. Like, this is it. I'm out of here. We're going to do this or not.
I love that.
But that's why I could never be a partner with my wife. Like I know my personality, and it just it wouldn't work. You know what I mean? So you gotta kind of know your liabilities in life, I feel.
Yeah, exactly.
And like you gotta know, like, hey, you know what? I love you, but I gotta have 10 hours with my work family, and then when I come home, I'm Fobby with the kids.
Yeah,
so, let's pivot to Grove IQ.
Yep.
And obviously you and I talked about this before and all that stuff, and I love AI. I mean, I have like from the moment, and JP was the one who introduced me to AI when he first showed me ChatGPT. I have like absolutely drowned myself in AI. I am not afraid. Yeah, I'm not afraid of it. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like people like, oh my God, it's going to replace every human being on the planet. I'm like, okay, so what? Let's say it does. I mean, you know what I mean? Like at a certain point, you know what I mean? Like the ceiling fan literally replaced the guy that was pulling the rope for the fans.
Yeah.
No one worried about that guy, right?
Yeah.
He found another job.
I love this analogy. The guy pulling the rope for the fans.
Like in the 1900s, we learned before electricity was making electric fans. There was a guy in India that used to pull the thing, and that it would keep the whole area cool. Once
so
the
funny.
British came in and they put electric fans in, it was like, oh, we don't need that guy anymore.
Yeah, it's like AI. I mean, that's what's the same kind of example, right? Just
Yeah, it's no big deal. So, but you were like, I think there was a quote that I read. It said, "Grows IQ doesn't replace people; it empowers them."
Yep.
Right.
Yep. We're here to enhance.
So
Yep.
walk me through that. Like, how is it not going to replace somebody? Because this is the question I keep asking all the AI people.
Super important question. I think for the tool that I'm building, Groves IQ, it's meant for the mortgage industry. It's meant for the mortgage professional. Mortgage is still a relationship-based industry. There's not going to be an AI that's going to be able to connect with your client, with your buyer, with your realtors, and build those relationships and those connections, which are going to continue to build and feed your pipeline. So what the goal of Groves IQ is to take away the manual repetitive tasks that loan officers or processors do on every single transaction, which is the processing piece. The processing piece is exceptionally cumbersome. There's 7 different parties routing 20 paper pieces of requests back and forth over and over again, just for one loan. Now compound that on 20 loans, right? It is endless amount of just sitting in your pipeline, managing your emails in 10 different places for 30 different people. Like, it's nuts. And so what Groves IQ does is it takes that step from 30 steps to 3 clicks. So it allows the actual loan officer or the processor to focus on the most important part, which is the human connection, the relationship building, going to that happy hour, maybe, going to their kid's soccer game.
God, wouldn't that be great if we could send a robot to happy hour and save me that from being mind numb for an hour?
Eventually, AI robots is here now, which is like freaky.
Push the button for the latest dad joke.
Yeah. I can tell you got a lot of them.
I got a few. Where would you draw the line? Let's dive into this. Where would you draw the line of where AI should never touch something in the mortgage industry?
But just like specific to mortgage?
Yeah, let's just say, because that's the globe that you and I live in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would like to see it never touch the initial sale loan life cycle, where it is trying to qualify the borrower or put them into the right program or quote them an interest rate. I think that there still needs to be a human connection to understand the true goals of the homeowner, right? Buyer or seller. And then, having an AI do that just feels way too impersonal. And at the end of the day, we're helping someone with the largest transaction that they're ever going to do in their life, right? For the most part. So to have someone that you can talk to, I think that's as a human being, that's what I want. I want someone that I can talk to, that I can interact with, that can give me the information. The AI can do all the manual, sorting of everything for me. I can take that, but I can still present it. So that really puts the loan officer into a super drive salesperson seat, as opposed to, doing the initial sale, but then not being able to maintain that relationship because they're too busy drowning in paperwork.
Yeah. I was thinking to myself, and Barry Habib was he was here in DC last week. And so
I love Barry.
Barry's great. And he was talking about how until licensing is still a fixture, AI cannot take over the loan officer role.
Yeah.
Yep. You know what I mean? And I always love the way Barry thinks, because Barry is like, he's just like, he's extraterrestrial. That's what I keep telling him. Like, his brain is just too large for being a human. You know what I mean? It doesn't fit. So to me, it's like kind of like when we look at that replacement of a loan officer, that's not in the near future, from what I can tell. Legally, and then as you put out the relationship base, right?
Yep, I agree.
But couldn't, and I don't know where Groves IQ is with this, but couldn't it take some of the menial task of a loan officer and start doing it for the loan officer?
So that's the intention, is that it automatically will process the loan for them. So as opposed to the, like I mentioned, 30 steps of sending messages and emails to title, escrow, insurance, borrower, lender, appraiser, processor, let's keep going, right? How many contacts do we have to, realtor, buyer's agent, seller's agent, right? It just keeps going and going. And the way that we're doing it now is just incredibly inefficient. So, the goal of it is to make those really, really simple and easy and automated using AI to simplify everything and to keep basically one portal, one place where all of the different parties can come to complete the loan. And the lender gets a window into seeing what's going on, because right now, especially in the wholesale world, the lenders issue an approval and they kind of forget about it. They have no idea what's going on. So this is a way that allows the lenders to see a window into what's going on in their pipeline. They have real numbers and metrics. They also use it as a recruiting tool because they're basically providing a processing platform for everyone to the broker partners that send them business. So I'm seeing a lot of enterprise lenders that are signing up for pilots, which is really exciting. And it's exciting because I feel like this is the way that it should work. There's not really a tool out there that does anything like this. So it's actually fun. Like, I don't feel like I'm working. I feel like I'm actually having just a great time.
That's a great feeling when you're not working. That's the best feeling in the whole world. Like, obviously, Groves Capital has used Groves IQ. Is that a fair statement?
It is.
Have you seen like the efficiencies that you talk about in real life, and you experienced it?
Yes, we are just starting to pull in the metrics of what those turn time savings look like, the processing touches, underwriting touches. So we're going to have about 60 days of data or so that we're going to be able to compile and present.
Wow.
So
I was talking to an IMB CEO a few days ago, one of the top 10 guys, you know what I mean? And they said in 12 months, by coming in and wherever, and I didn't get into details of where their AI is operationally, but they said they brought the cost of the loan down 9%.
Wow.
Which is, I mean, just year over year, they're tracking it.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that 9% can either be profit or be passed on to better rates.
Yeah, exactly.
And
making them more competitive overall. Yeah.
And that's when this clicked on me. I remember telling JP, because he's the only one that I have these AI conversations with, right?
Yeah.
These top 10 lenders, with what they're going to do, they're going to take almost 50 to 60% of the market share in the next few years if the rest of us don't accelerate our use of AI.
Yep, exactly. I mean, whoever, and that's the thing is that I feel like every single lender, the first topic of discussion with, all the lenders that we're approved with Groves Capital, for example, I talked to all of the account executives, and their initiative across the board, across all wholesale, is how do we implement AI? How do we use AI to help streamline operations? How do we provide our brokers more visibility? How do we take on more volume without hiring more people? How do we not go through this nasty hire fire cycle with adding in technology that works with our systems, not against our systems? This is literally across the board. Everyone is saying that. And it's just great to hear, because I'm like, that's Groves IQ. Well, that's what it does. That's literally what it's meant to do.
Yeah.
But like, that's on the mind of everyone, right? Everyone's trying to figure out the right tool to use.
What's your next, like, the way your brain's work, I can already see it. Like, you're already seeing down the road. I got that, right? So what's your next big milestone? Can you share that with us? That you're like, when we hit this, then this can happen.
My next big milestone is completing my integration with LendingPad. And then I'm moving to the following integration, which is connecting UWM's approval process to my LendingPad for Groves Capital.
Okay.
So I can automate the entire ultimate submission process for my Groves Capital team, and also for any users under Groves IQ.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, that's a huge milestone to hit for sure.
Yep.
Now, UWM, obviously, I mean, they are obviously the big gorilla in the wholesale arena.
Yep.
Don't they have like their own AI? Or I would think like, and I don't know, I talked to their CTO for a brief second. He's supposed to be on the show in a few weeks.
Yeah.
But I know that they're using some kind of vocal AI loan officer assistant already.
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah, Mia. Her name is Mia. Yeah. I mean, she's excellent. Mia calls your past clients and will actually send you emails if the call dropped, if they wanted to chat. So, they're really providing some game changer tools. I will say that there's, not a tool that does what Groves IQ does. There's other things that do underwriting or follow-up or lead management, things like that. But there's a very special orchestration that happens when Groves IQ integrated and initiated in the post-approval to CTC process. So that's where the power really lies. And once that integration with UWM to push the approval into LendingPad is complete, is going to be a game changer for my team at Groves Capital and also for any users in the Groves IQ umbrella too.
Nice. All right. Final question, right? Brand is what people say when you're not around. That's your brand. 5 years from today, Groves IQ, what are people talking about you when you're not around, Aleyna?
They're saying she created a category that changed the entire mortgage infrastructure for the wholesale and retail mortgage industry.
Wow, that's a pretty big shoe, buddy.
Love
that.
I have big goals for myself. I'm a firm believer in what you think, what you feel, what you say. You can make it happen. You're your own creator, and you're the only one that sets your own limits. So
manifestation is a true thing. People think it's hocus pocus, but it's absolutely the truth. I mean, once you think it, it's going to happen whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't like it. Like, they always think of that. I didn't want
Exactly. That's why sometimes, like, you think of something, like, you're like, oh, is that problem? Hopefully that problem goes away. And then you thought of it, and I'm like, oh no, it's going to show up right now. And it happens. It really happens. Your mind is powerful. You got to be careful what you think. Sure.
So Aleyna, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're coming to the end here. Guys, Groves IQ is definitely something you guys want to check out. Make sure you don't because I've been reading about Groves IQ the last few weeks that I met Aleyna. Pretty cool stuff. If you are in that arena and you're looking to find a platform, Aleyna, where can they get a hold of you?
They can find me at grovesiq.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Aleyna Groves, or you can search Groves IQ. I've got a ton of fun content, always posting, and I'd be happy to connect with you guys.
All right. I think it's almost lunchtime in San Diego here, right? Isn't it?
It is. But I fast until 2. So I gotta wait a little bit.
I go from 5:30 to 9:30. That's my fasting. So.
Oh, okay, nice.
That's I can't. I gotta have my breakfast.
At nighttime. You're a nighttime faster.
I am. I found that if I sleep for 7 hours, then I can kind of cheat a little bit on that.
Yeah, exactly. I torture myself till 2 o'clock. So
All right, Aleyna. Well, thank you so much for being on here again. And, please stay in touch. And then if you want to come back on, give us a call. I'd love to have you back on and get your progress.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. Thank you so much, Fobby. Talk to you later.
All right, JP, man, get me out of here.